I, a little bit about me, I guess, just to kind of set the stage for some discussions. You notice I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, or maybe you'll see that. Is that okay? I was trying to figure out, in presenting, it started out with a PowerPoint presentation with video and loud music, and over time I've realized that just a real good conversation is worth 1,000 words. And so as I looked at my experience, the first thing really is that I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an idea person. I like to start companies. I tried to figure out, maybe I've started about 10 companies in my tenure, and I'm really running 3 of them right now. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But I'm also a CEO, and I think some entrepreneurs don't want to kind of stick through the process. But as Monster, as an example, came up with the idea in December of 1993. I worked that idea until I retired in 2005. And so there's a difference between the entrepreneurial aspects of things and the chief executive aspects of things. I'm also a culture builder, and I believe in employees. One of the things that I started with in my new company, which is called Eons, is at our 1-year anniversary, I said to my employees, what would you like to do to celebrate our 1 year? Let's try to create some history here. And they said, let's go bowling, which is kind of a typical thing. And we're in the Charlestown Navy Yard in Boston, which is about 100 feet from the ocean. I said, what do you say we all go jump in the ocean together? And so their answer would probably be what your answer would be, is like, no way am I jumping in the ocean. And on September 12th every year, my whole company goes over to the pier and jumps in the ocean together. And I think it's just an example of a little bit of its leadership, because you have to convince your troop to kind of jump with you. I would go first. There's a lot of discussion about, do we go 1, 2, 3, then jump? Or do we say 1, 2, 3, and then jump, and then we go? And I just wanted to share that it's probably my best meeting I have of the entire year when we come out of the water and all get back together. I think company meetings tend to be to the outside of the room, but that meeting is always to the center of the room. And I think it's a simple example of kind of being a culture builder. I'm also trying to be an innovator within a corporation, so first curve and second curve strategies. And I'm a marketer, and I'm a brand person, and a big part of that is kind of telling stories. So I guess I looked at this and said, okay, in my entrepreneurial experience as Monster, I retired in 2005 with what I'd call the 360-degree entrepreneurial experience. I was the founder, I was the president, I was the CEO, I was the chairman, and my last 3 years I was Chief Monster. Now, one of the things about a title like Chief Monster is there's a pretty good chance you're not going to lose that title. And in fact, I have that title for life. So why would you leave when you have something that's that comfortable? And I think that a big part of it is why I'm here today, which is what is the drive to be great, and when do you think you're done in your life? If you come up with an idea and you come up with another idea, when are you done? And I'm not done. And I felt like I still had more to offer. I had this idea that job seekers, they were starting to talk about employees that were going to retire. And I didn't actually know anybody that was planning on retiring. And that created the idea for creating eons.com, which is that we're all out there and we want to live life. We don't want to kind of basically join AARP and kind of exit gracefully. And so as I retired for 6 weeks. And I took all my notebooks. Do you guys keep a notebook? Yeah? Today is the day that Apple's coming out with this new tablet. I have no idea, but I'm excited about it to see if it's going to change. But I have about maybe 40 notebooks that I've kept for all my time in business. And these notebooks are the way that I kind of put my life together. And what I thought I'd share with you today is I went in my 6 weeks of vacation and created what I've basically talked about as what, for me, running life and living a business, my 12 secrets. And I was going to share those with you. The first secret basically is that you're the CEO of your own life. How many of you are CEOs? One of the amazing things is a lot of times I'm in a room and the people that are here are not CEOs. But I don't think it actually matters. Before you have your job title, you are the CEO of your own life. And one of the things I realized is that Some of this is about your attitude and the way you organize your life. And I have a four-letter word. The word is fame, F-A-M-E. And this fame for me was where I established and how I've tried to grow. And the F of fame is to be a free agent. And one of the things I've discovered in my job as a CEO is that there are absolute expectations for me. But what I do beyond those expectations, I think, is really what's defined my role as a CEO. And so as a free agent, one of the things I've discovered is that you need to reach outside your job description. And if you think about that, for a lot of the chief executives in the room, that might mean that you're also running an association, or you've got a hobby that turns into more than a hobby, like for me, I'm a DJ. How you reach out, I think, as a free agent, many times will define all of the color for you as a CEO. So one of the things that was mentioned in my intro is that I hold the world record water skiing behind a blimp. You want to hear that story quickly? One of the things as a CEO is you get challenged to do things that are a little uncomfortable. And in some cases, like when you're the CEO of Monster, the things you get challenged to do can be very uncomfortable. And so one of the things I decided in my marketing is that I would put a Monster blimp in the sky. And even my marketing group said, a blimp is like for cigarette companies or beer companies. I decided that a blimp was big, not scary. So when I put my first blimp in the sky, we actually leased it from the Virgin Lightship Group. And when I got my second blimp, because it was working so well, Richard Branson joined in a conversation by phone and said that I hold the world record water skiing behind a blimp. I said it in a Baywatch episode, and he said, I'd like to challenge you to beat my record. So I had an opportunity. I said, sure, I think that's what we say as a CEO. Yeah, I'll do that, whatever, right? So I'm in New York City. My assistant calls me up, and she says, next Tuesday, you're going water skiing. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going water skiing? It's like, yeah, you're going to Panama City, Florida, and you are going to break Richard Branson's record. I said, by the way, how long is his record for water skiing behind a blimp? Because I'm not a good water skier. And he said 1.1 miles. I was like, okay. I'm in a cab in New York City. Just visualize this for a second. I say to the cabbie, can you mark, I need 1.1 miles from here. But I'm in New York City. It took us like 15 minutes. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this. Right? So next thing you know, I'm in a hotel room in Panama City, Florida. It's 11:30 at night on Monday night. And there's a wetsuit on my bed and a note that says, we'll see you at 7:30 in the morning. Good luck. And I'm like, does this feel comfortable to you? Right? Just think about, okay, so I put on this wetsuit. Just visualize with me. I put on this wetsuit, and it doesn't fit. And it looks horrible. And I'm like, you know, I'm not a good water skier, and I'm sitting here in this wetsuit. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And it turns out I had it on backwards. I had actually zipped the wetsuit up this way. I mean, so you can tell I'm not like a deep expert here, right? So the next thing you know, I'm in the water, in the ocean, in the bay at Panama City. There's 3 boats. There's a boat on one side of me that has my staff in it and a couple people that organize the camera crews. There's some news people in the other boat, and there's some guy in a wetsuit fully geared up. And I'm like, what's that guy for? They said, if you're at the bottom of the ocean and this guy tries to stick this thing in your mouth, let him do it. And I'm like, okay. I don't want a recording of that, but okay, that's fine. And then this boat in front of me is going to cut the wake. Now, visualize this. There's a blimp that's coming overhead. It's 155 feet long. It has a 200-foot rope attached to the blimp. It's going 30 miles an hour, and there's a handle on the end of the rope. And I'm supposed to grab a hold of this handle and basically go up on my skis and go, right? Okay, this sounds really easy, right? So I'm sitting there in the water. Just imagine this for a second. It's freezing cold. I'm in my wetsuit, which fits better now that it's on correctly. And these boats are all around me. And this rope is like, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So the first time, it missed me completely. It was like I'm trying to swim over to get the rope. Second time, I got a hold of the rope. The handle hits my gloves. I go about 30 seconds, and I hit a barge wake that's coming across the bay. It's about, I think it's 5 feet high. I don't know. They said it was like 3 feet high. And I wipe out in this massive skis everywhere. And I come up sputtering like, I hate this. Why am I doing this, right? And there's nobody in the boats. I'm like, where'd everybody go? And everyone's crying, laughing. So this is where people will laugh at you as a CEO as you're trying to do things that are really innovative, or in this case, for the love of branding. And so the next time I got up and I went 3.3 miles, I broke Richard Branson's record. And it was a fantastic experience. And this is definitely about ideas. Coming up with ideas is something that I think is paramount to finding success. And that's obviously where a conference like this comes in, because you're sharing ideas. One of the other things I looked at was the idea that you have to put yourself out in front of your business. You have to put yourself out in front of your success. And one of the things I find with CEOs is there are a couple different styles. One style is an inside CEO that in many cases could almost be a COO, right? And then there's another style which is an outside CEO, which is the kind of style that I typically run in the way I run my company. But you have to make this decision, and one of my discoveries is that there are opportunities to basically put yourself out in front of your customers, put yourself out in front of your employees, and I don't think we do it enough. And I'd like to challenge you to do more. That might mean speaking at industry events. There's a tendency to be a little bit insular. How can you kind of reach outside yourself? And one of the things that I've discovered is there's an opportunity to make some noise when you do this and to get some attention for your company. I have a couple of words I'd like to say, and I'd like to give you to give me a word back. We do that? So I'm going to talk about the future, and I want you to say, I believe. We do that? I'm going to talk about the future, and I want you to say, I believe. Okay, that was good, but not really. All right? So I'm going to talk about the future, and a little louder, I want you to say, I believe. All right, a little louder. I'm going to talk about the future. I believe. All right, that's good. I'm going to talk about the progress business leaders. Can we do that? And I want you to say, we rock. Do you rock? We rock? So I'm going to talk about the progress business leaders, and I want you to say, we rock. We rock. All right, we're going to get a little louder. I'm going to talk about the progress business leaders, and you're going to say, we rock. I'm going to talk about the American workforce. How many of you are from outside the country? Right? A few of you? Can we celebrate the American workforce in the middle of this? Because we need this workforce to hold on. Got a lot of you in the room. When we talk about the American workforce, where are you from? Where? Holland. So you can say the Holland workforce when I say that, right? It's about celebrating your workforce. When I talk about the workforce, I want you to say hallelujah. Okay? So I'm going to talk about the American workforce, and I want you to say, hallelujah. Okay, but I want you to put your arms in the air because we have to celebrate this, right? All right, so I'm going to talk about the American workforce, and you're going to say, there we go. All right, I'm going to talk about the new economy, and I want you to say, to the Batmobile. To the Batmobile. All right? So if you give me a little head move like this, then I'll know that you're really playing with this, right? So this is what Batman says to Robin, who's on the big computer, that huge thing's about the size of a house, when we got to go save the world, right? So I'm going to talk about the new economy, and you're going to say, to the Batmobile. That's good. Now I get to do my thing. We are gathered here this morning to discuss the future. I said the future. Gathered around me, the nation or the world's progress business leaders. I said, you guys are world-class progress business leaders. We are here for a special day. We are here to celebrate the American workforce. Hallelujah. I said the American workforce. Hallelujah. All around me, things are changing. The new economy. I said the new economy needs your help. As the progress business leaders, we have the tools to change the world. And the rewards of our hard work will be a thriving American and Holland and workforce. I said a thriving workforce. All eyes are on the future. All eyes are on the future. All eyes are on you. Very good. Give yourselves a nice round of applause if you can do it. So, I have an invitation for you. I would like you to take your shoe off and hold your shoe up in the air like this. Okay? And this is an invitation to take your shoe off and hold it in the air. And if you've got your shoe in the air, make some noise and hold it up high, right? And if there are other people that haven't taken their shoe off and held it up in the air, I want you to encourage them by maybe pointing or suggesting that they also could get their shoe up in the air. And if your shoe is up in the air, make some noise and hold it proudly so I can hear that you are out there with your shoe. All right, shoes down. Nice job. So, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I'm challenging you to take the concept of a new idea and to engage in that idea right away. Now, my shoe innovator in the entire room is right here. Now, if you guys were close, were you both coming out with your shoe at the same time? Because I saw a shoe right here. She was way behind. So, Brandon, stand up. You're my shoe innovator. Okay. And you were the first one in the room to take your shoe off. So why'd you do it?
Because you told me to.
Okay. So I need your belt. No, I'm kidding. So that's it. I told you to.
Sounded like a good idea at the time.
Okay. That sounds good. So who came out? Thank you. Who came out with their shoe fairly quickly? Right? I saw my $20 man had his shoe off very quickly, almost, maybe the second one in the room to get his shoe off. Already got the 20, willing to do whatever I ask him to do. So how many of you brought your shoe out pretty much right away? Right? Why'd you do it? Talk to me. Why not? Why'd you do it? Because I told you to. And so that was it. Just whatever I told you to do, you were going to do. I mean, I could think of some really odd things that I could have said, right? So who was a little slow? I mean, this room was excellent. I was just in a room. I was speaking at a U.S. Post Office of the Inspector General. And there were 200 people in the room. And when I asked them to take their shoes off, it was slow going. Right? In this room, almost all the shoes came out right away, which is representative, first of all, that you are open to an idea. Very quickly, the shoes will come off. I was in Italy, and I did this exercise. Almost no one took their shoes off. There were like maybe 5 people out of 400 people that took their shoe off. And I really pulled out a little bit, and they wouldn't do it. And they basically said, we're a proud people. We don't just take our shoes off for anybody. And they said, you Americans, you're so sloppy with your shoes. You're there underneath a conference table, and your shoe gets away from you, and you're trying to get your shoe back. He said, we have some fashion and some style here. We don't do that, right? So who was a little bit late with their shoe? Was encouraged a little bit, right? So I see a little pointing going on here. And who never took their shoe off at all? Right? So your arm goes up in the air, but just no shoe in it. So, and I think there are potentially some more. So how come you didn't do it?
I couldn't get it off.
You couldn't get it off. So, imagine, the chairman of your organization coming in and saying, I wanted to use this software. How come you're not using this software? And you're like, I couldn't get the plastic off the box. Yeah, there's a challenge in the middle of this. No shoe. How come? Oh, you were looking for money to take your shoe off. Okay. So one of the things I found is, are there exercises you could do with your team that would talk about how you embrace new ideas? I like to use, if you can take a shoe and use it as an example, and you could see some of your employees. Like if you've got, how many, you have 100 employees, 500 employees? Give me a sense. How many of your companies have over 500 employees? All right. How many have over 200 employees? How many have over 100 employees? Okay, so most of the companies have under 100 employees. All right, this is perfect. You can get everybody in a room, and you can do this exercise. And what you find out is surprising people will start to show up for the $20 or for the shoe. And what you're getting is you're starting to see who in your organization might be standing out that would try new ideas. And give yourself a chance to get your team to talk about whether they would accept new ideas or not.